All right, welcome in, welcome in, welcome back for episode 7. This is Dustin. I am your host. You are here for Spiritually Kinky, and tonight we have an amazing episode that is called From Pain to Power, Rewiring the Subconscious for Play, Pleasure, and Creation. Because the truth is it's totally possible. Totally possible. And just to give you an indication of the other titles that we were thinking for this, the other one was How to Stop Repeating the Past and Start Creating Your Future, or The Program is Not the Problem, but guess what? You don't have to keep running it. How does that sound for you guys tonight? Yeah, this is going to be a really good episode. So, this episode is going to be really truth telling. It's going to be heart and soul activating. There's going to be enough neuroscience and soul medicine to wake up your inner creator. And we're going to be speaking to the subconscious and understanding that it isn't who you are and that you can choose to create from a new place. The identity doesn't have to die. You can actually redesign the identity. And here's the truth, you guys. Here is the fundamental truth. And it is, if you want to say what you think are your problems are not your problems, and the only problem that you have, which really isn't a problem, is that you have just forgotten who you really are. And you were designed that way. And now this is just a remembering. This is just a remembering. So, from pain to power, this is where we begin to move from healing to creation. And how good is that going to feel, right? How good is that going to feel? So you're not broken, you're programmed. And you are not stuck because you're lazy or broken. You're stuck because you're running a survival program. And it's been running a long, long time. So, what you may not understand is that about 95% of your thoughts, your beliefs, your actions, the things you say, you do, most of that is coming from your subconscious behavior. And you'll hear me say subconscious and unconscious, and I mean the same thing. I just switch back and forth. But that's coming from the program. That's coming from that automated behavior from your past, 95%. And these instructions and the program were actually formed between the ages of 0 and 7. And we had to learn how to not be it so that we could learn how to be human. And we just haven't had the conscious education yet to say, okay, you did an amazing job. You're being a human, right? You're here, you're alive. Welcome in, friends. And now you can embody the creative force that you really are, because you truly are the creative force within. You're the energy, babe. You are the energy. And science has really come a long way. Whereas when I used to talk about energy when I was 20 or 21, and I jumped into getting Reiki, all of this amazing, crazy, energetic stuff started happening because I had no idea what I was in for. But it opened up, and it was just this energy, right? And that's you. That is you. And as we unpack spiritually kinky and create the road create the road to being fully seen, deeply felt, and wildly free, and you choosing your play, choosing your pleasure, and choosing your creation, because that is the embodiment of you, right? That is the embodiment of you, and that's who you came here to be and what you came here to do. And this isn't about resistance. This is about your remembering. It is about your remembering. But we have this system that has been trained, that has been stuck in survival mode, right? But here's the thing, is the program was built to protect you. All parts were designed by you, for you, to keep you safe and alive so that you could belong to your family and figure out how the way of the world was so that you could stay alive. Again, out of love, for you, by you, all of it. And we've really labeled a lot of things without the understanding that a lot of those patterns that we've created, a lot of the things that we decided a lot of the roles that we decided to play in this life, how we began to shape our reality from the not it identity, were created out of suffering obligation contracts with our family. And if you didn't catch last week's episode, I tell a story about a remembering of a memory. I was probably 4 or 5, and I made a contract of I would do anything I could to make my dad happy, right? Because of this memory that happened, and I took on that responsibility, and so kind of played out my whole life because I made that choice, and in that I made that contract because I thought I was strong enough to take away his pain and make him happy. And that the truth is that we just both walked away with pain. And so we do that, but we do it out of love. But that can look like abuse. That can look like it can look like the worst of the worst stuff. But it still was created out of love by us, for us, the body, all of it. And here's what we can understand is that when we begin to understand that everybody has just done the best they could with the instructions that they were given, because we get instructions at least 7 generations in our blood and bone. So, if we could all just start there and recognize that we did, right? We did the best we could with what we had, with the instructions that were given, and you didn't get a choice, right? You have been making unconscious choices in your life, and that's not your fault. That's not, that you didn't get to choose, but you get to choose now. You get to choose now. And this is why this is so freaking sexy, because this shift is you embodying your creative energy. This is you embodying who you really are, and what you came here to create. And it lights this fire, and you start to shine because you literally are made of stardust, and you get to unfold your vision, your value, and embody your voice. And when you do that, you automatically are like walking in the way of love and respect, because that is your true essence. But we sure have put on a lot of masks, haven't we? Sure have put on a lot of masks. Sure have got a lot of labels. So why keep repeating what you don't want? This is why our 3 most innate superpowers that we teach in the Spiritually Kinky Academy is your choice, your focus, and your flow. Those are your most innate superpowers. And no matter where you are, no matter where your feet are right now, these are choices you can actually start to practice, actively start to practice in your life. Conscious choice, conscious focus, conscious flow. And what we've learned from science is that when we put our focus on energy, guess what? It changes and it manifests. And so we understand that things are created twice, once in the imagination and then once in the visible. So when we begin to put our focus in our true alignment on our true choices, now we have created a creative structure, and it now is a wheel instead of a rocking chair, instead of the problem oscillation structure. We're now flowing into a life that we love. Still tension, yes, but tension that's magnetic, that's pulling you into that, like a rubber band that's pulling you into. And because your energy, and energy will always take the path of least resistance. And so when you're in this structure and the resistance comes up, this is why the transformation sessions are so important. And we recommend you going into a transformation session at least once a week, either with me or other coaches, because it's a remembering process. It's a remembering process. And you have trained yourself very well, my friend. You are in beautiful design, but there is a process of redesign. There is a process of getting new instructions. There is a process of recoding. But I promise you, what you'll experience in these transformation sessions, and if you haven't seen some of the reviews, is in less than an hour, people were feeling more energetic, more flow than they had in an hour than they had in the last 5 years. So it doesn't have to take your lifetime. You are not supposed to be on a healing journey your entire life. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. But we have created a problem-focused structure. And the reason why We keep creating what we don't want is because our focus is on the problem. And the one thing that always has to exist in the problem structure is the problem. So this is why we move from healing to creation, because when you take your focus off of the problem and you start to choose from a true place with focused intention and focused attention and the embodiment of the emotion that you are trying to create, because you are now retraining your nervous system to actually accept what you want to receive, what you desire, because your nervous system has been designed for survival. And so this is a process. The process, and resistance is going to come up, right? Resistance is part of the path. The resistance is of the path, and there is nothing wrong with the resistance. But we can integrate with those parts. We don't have to fight against them, avoid them, hide from them. We can integrate with them. They were carried. We can honor what they carried, right? And so we teach you that too, because as long as you're fighting against them, as long as you're trying to get away from them, ignore them, what I have found in Spiritually Kinky, being fully seen, deeply felt, and wildly free, of all the conversations that I've had with people, is that all parts just want to be seen. All parts just want to be seen. And so when you start to honor your parts, as dark as they may feel, as dark as you may judge them to be, just know that they were created for you, by you, out of love, to keep you safe. And they just want to be seen and acknowledged, right? And they're ready for new instructions. They're burnt out and tired, right? Have you ever been in a corporate job where you're that person where you just feel like you're going to work to do every single day, and it's like, it's just like this life. Are you kidding me? And everybody looks like they're miserable and ghosts and zombies. And oh, I've had some corporate jobs, but it's yeah. Anyway, sorry, tangent, but it just oh, you can understand right now that you've just been creating in the wrong structure. This is a shift, right? You've just been creating in the wrong structure. It's not you. You're not broken. Nothing that you do, say, have, or be is ever going to make you any more or less than you already are. You already are it, babe. You are the secret sauce. You are the it factor, and it's time for you to own it. You're not crazy. You're just structured to focus on the problem. And here's the thing: is your structure determines your behavior, but your behavior is what is actually going to get you a result. Behavior is the highest form of communication. Behavior, right? But here's the thing: is you can take the same action, but you can get different results depending if you're taking the action in the problem structure or taking the action in the creative structure. So structure does determine behavior. So just like a magnet, you put your focus pulls you in the same loops. I don't have enough time, money, energy, love. I'm not enough, worthy, ready, smart, lovable. It's not good enough. I'm not perfect. I'm not significant. I'm not worthy. Whatever those are, we all have those stories. That's the not it identity. It's me. I'm not enough. It's not safe to be seen. It's not safe to be successful. It's not safe to be free. Again, those are just structures that we created. So it's not your thoughts alone that create your life. It's your unconscious identity, that identity that drives your focus and behavior. And guess what? That identity can be redesigned. This is the how. This is the how. This is why this is so freaking exciting. And I'm so happy to be able to bring this conscious education, because this is the how, and this is how we do it, right? So we have to understand that there's an awakening from the program. And this is AKA your hero's moment. And this is where you realize that you've been choosing from pain and programming, not from power and possibility. You've been unconsciously loyal to struggle, trauma, and survival-based success. But now you have a choice. You were actually born for joy, but you got trained for suffering. Now you get to retrain your system for play, pleasure, and power. Now, we're going to dive into the playful power of recoding the mind. And if you've followed me at all, you've heard me talk about the Recode, right? And what they have found is that just like you can lose your keys, just like you can forget where you put your keys, you can forget your trauma. You can release the emotional trigger from it. You can actually rewire new connections. It's called the consolidation moment, and Chris Duncan speaks on this beautifully. But Recode, you can do in 15 minutes what may take others 50 years, what might take others 80 years. It just works because it's just about updating your instructions. You're an iPhone 16, babe, that's been running on iPhone software. So we're this is your level up, right? This is your Recode, this is your level up. And the cool thing is that Recode is based on neuroscience, epigenetics, quantum physics, and universal law. So it's pretty solid in my book. I don't know about you, but pretty solid in my book. And it's what I've always known. So it helps release the emotional charge, update limiting beliefs, and installs a new identity that's aligned with what you are trying to create from a true choice, right? That's why we go hard on the foundation of true choices. I choose to create a life I love. I choose health and vitality. I choose to be the primary creator in my life, not the only creator in my life. And I allow all others to do the same. I choose to live my true nature and purpose, right? Those are the alignment choices that are true, because the truth is that if you're not living those four core, and those won't ever change, right? I mean, the choices may change, but you never check those boxes off. That's always going to be a choice. Because if you're not living a life you love, then what are you doing? Why? Because you are choosing. You're either unconsciously choosing or you're consciously choosing. And so this is where it's where the rub kind of comes in, right? Because you have to take radical responsibility for your choices. Now, here's the thing, it's not your fault. You did the best you could with what you had, right? There's no judgment on your choices. The truth is that you just get to consciously choose now. And so when we start to look at choosing, we understand that pleasure isn't random, it's rewiring. Play isn't childish, it's how we open space for the new. It's through our innocence, through our imagination. And this is going to go against everything that we've been taught. Here's the rub, right? It goes against every way that we've been taught because we've been taught how to create in the problem focus. But when we enter flow, we interrupt the old program. We do that with our conscious choice, our focus, and then our flow. So, what's the difference between creation and problem solving? Because there's a difference. Problem solving versus creation. So, most people try and fix their life, right? From the same energy that created their problem. And this always used to drive me crazy because I never really got it, right? But you cannot solve unworthiness. It's an untruth. You can't solve it. You can't ever fix the not enoughness. It's not true. It is not true. You can only create from truth. So the difference between problem focus is, when you're in observe and report, when you're just on autopilot, when you're focused on what's wrong, when you're focused on what needs fixing, when you're focusing on avoiding, getting away from, solving, that is problem focus. Creative focus is, what do I want to experience? What do I choose to be? What am I choosing? What am I creating? That is creative focus. So it's like driving with one foot on the gas, which is your desire, and the other on the brake, which is your unconscious fear. So the recode just allows you to release the brake so that you can actually move forward, right? And it's an energetic principle that your creative life force energy, and energy follows the path of least resistance. So the recode actually just helps you create the path of least resistance to creating a life you love. But let me tell you about what's going to happen. As soon as you start to make those choices, resistance is going to come up, babe. That's why you want to be in the transformation sessions, because resistance is going to come up. Do not try and do this on your own. You need a guide. You need a guide. Absolutely need a guide. If it's not me, I know other guides that wholeheartedly were amazing guides to me. So you need a guide. It's time. So I want you to ask some deeper questions here. And you know me, I love to go deep with my questions. That's my favorite thing to do, is ask people deep questions. Why do you think I created a podcast? Because I love to ask people deep questions. I love to watch them. I love to listen to them. I love to hear their stories. So I want to ask you these. What would life feel like if you didn't have to fix yourself? And you can even put your hand over your heart and you can repeat after me. What would life feel like if I didn't have to fix myself? Connect to your heart. That is the quickest way to get out of your head. Your heart energy, babe, is your doorway to your embodiment. Sit in your heart energy, connect to your heart energy. That's why that heart practice was my 2-inch domino, because it changed everything. Because you connect to who you really are, and you are creative life force, love energy, babe. So ask yourself this: what would I create if I truly trusted myself? Who am I beyond the wounds, beyond the patterns? And I want you to close your eyes and I want you to say out loud, I release the old story. I choose to create a new one. I am the author now. I am the artist. I am the creator. And I want you to feel that powerfully and purposefully and playfully in your heart. And take a deep breath and feel that truth. Feel that knowing. So let me leave you with this, babes, because the truth is that you've just been running someone else's instructions. They weren't wrong. They were just outdated. But now you get to update the system, right? It's your level up. It's your level up. It's your re-up. And that just brings me beautifully into next week, or our next podcast, because we're going to get deep into the re-up. And if you're a gamer, if you've ever played um, Final Fantasy, or Zelda, totally aged myself, but that magic elixir, that re-up, it's good stuff. It's really good stuff. That level up, you don't start off that way. Um, going from levels 1 to 100 can be really tiresome, right? But once you start gaining some skills and gaining some abilities, right, you start to level up. You start to level up, and this is your re-up, babe. This is your remembering. So, you know, once I help you to update the system, then you just get to choose what you want to create, right? And when you do, you stop fighting to survive and you start remembering what you came here to create. And the best part about this pathway is, after the Spiritually Kinky Academy, is the Spiritually Kinky Entrepreneur, where we help you restructure your money structure and understand that money is just a measurement of value. And if you want to create more money, you need to create more value. And so if you totally want time and money freedom, you need to create a value generating machine that doesn't require your time, right? And value is just in a way that people are willing to pay for, that increases their pleasure and decreases their pain, right? So we're going to be teaching that on how to do that and how to integrate AI, because the truth is that AI is life changing right now. Like mind blowing. I just heard from my mentor that a German AI, and I think this was only a transformation session from last week, that there's German AI that translated the entire internet in 18 days. The ability that we have to create right now in such a powerful, purposeful, like just mind blowing way right now, there is so much opportunity. So if you're sitting there and you're like, I've always wanted to start a business, I don't know what to do, I don't know what value to give, like that's where you need to get into the spiritually kinky entrepreneur, because you can do this in a matter of days. It doesn't take years, it doesn't take months. You can do it in days. You can do it in days. So I'm really excited about that too. But first you got to learn the basics, and you got to go through the foundations, and when you forget, you'll go through the foundations again, and then when you forget, you'll go through the foundations again, and it's just how we Miyagi it, right? It's how we become that, and we don't realize that we were like painting the fence and waxing the car, that we were actually learning kung fu with our little kung fu kick. Anyway, I'm super excited for the next episode. This is where we're going to get into the re-up, how to reinvent your identity and live from your future you. We're going to go deeper into the re-up your life method, unpacking the 3 core stages of the identity shift and creation, the awareness, the alignment, and the activation. So yeah, I can't wait to see you on the next episode. As always, please make sure that you subscribe. Please make sure that you like and follow us. We are definitely building from ground zero. And so if you have ever tried to create anything new, which I know that you have, growth in the beginning is slow to start. So any comment, any like, any aha moment, any support is super, super appreciated. And you don't move mountains by taking big moves. You move mountains with one step at a time, right? That small kung fu kick, and that's what we're all about, and helping you build your pathway to being fully seen, deeply felt, and wildly free. Till next time, guys.